I request our guests to join on the stage, please.
Bhumika, sitting plan.
It is in the spirit of metamorphosis that we would like to introduce the guest for the opening ceremony and the panel discussion of sustainability and human rights. The mentor behind the initiative is Dr. Dhyaneshwar M. Mooley. He has been the guiding light of the initiative and has helped it take the shape it is in today. Dr. Dhyaneshwar Mooley served as diplomat in Indian Foreign Service. He is renowned author, motivator, and former secretary, Ministry of External Affairs to the Government of India, popularly known as Passport Man of India. He has transformed the passport system by setting up 450 passport offices and setting an example for ease of doing business. Presently, sir is serving as a member at National Human Rights Commission. I would like to invite Mr. Anshul Alak to felicitate sir with the Ladakhi Khadi. A huge round of applause for Dr. Dhyaneshwar Mooley. The keynote speaker for the event is Dr. Shavna Shankar. She is an officer of the Indian Revenue Service. She has served in senior position in various ministries of the central government and is presently Principal Director General of Income Tax Exchange. Dr. Shankar is also a published author. She has published 6 books with her last novel being science fiction titled. She also contributes a Assemblies. She also contributes a regular column to the Dainik Bhaskar and Lokmat newspaper. I would like to invite Mr. Surinder Bakshi to welcome our keynote speaker. Our special guest for the opening ceremony, Ms. Suman Randhawa, currently leading partnership and development financing for the United Nations Resident Coordinator Office in India. Her role focuses on curating strategies development funding towards the 230 SDG agenda. Ms. Randhawa has over 15 years of experience in the development sector in the national level policy design, strategic thinking, implementation of development projects, coalition building. She also worked extensively at the intersection of education, skilling, innovation, partnership building, and digital inclusion. Welcome, ma'am. Before we proceed further, I request Mr. Surinder Bakshi, Chief Organizer and Founding Member of Anand Shri Welfare Foundation, to welcome all of our guests at the event.
Good morning to all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I, Surinder Bakshi, the organizer Samaavesh, is welcoming you all to the Samaavesh ESG Global Summit 2023. Samaavesh itself means inclusion. Everyone is taken together for a single motive. This sense of unity transcending into future is what forms the backbone of Samaavesh today. Samaavesh Global ESG Summit is a reflection of our teamwork in development organizations, sectors where we have collaborated with organizations globally to understand the core solution that will be innovative and adaptive in future. Today we have gathered here to commence Samaavesh ESG Global Summit, which aims to democratize conversations around ESG in a holistic manner and bring together representatives from CSR foundations, corporates, NGOs, government, HNIs, philanthropists to collaborate and sustain for a sustainable synergies. We welcome everyone to the event that is being held for next 2 days on the theme of giving back to society and moving forward in a unison. I, on behalf of everyone present here, heartily welcome the dignitaries present as well as the participants who have been gracious with a part of the summit. We would also like to extend a warm and gracious welcome to our speakers and thank them for being with us and for sparing our precious time from their busy schedule. We are grateful for their presence and their expertise, which will be showcased through different panel discussions that we will be having over the course of 2 days. Finally, we will wish all of us fruitful and productive discussions over 2 days. We hope this summit will contribute to new approaches and bolstering ESG framework that will benefit the society as a whole. And we assure all of you will take back a lot of learning from this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Surinder Bakshi, for your warm welcome. You have truly touched on the essence of Samaavesh as a concept. Samaavesh shall span a total of 9 panel discussion, 2 special sessions with 45 plus speakers coming from varied backgrounds, including governments, industry, CSOs, academicians, as well as multilateral organizations. We hope that this diversity leads to a lot of learning and also are able to take back something from this conference. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Sadhna Shankar to give her keynote address. Over to you.
नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीबॉडी। मंच पे आसीन सभी विशिष्ट अतिथि और सभागार में उपस्थित सभी लोग, सबसे पहले मैं जो इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के आयोजक हैं, समावेश के जो आयोजक हैं, स्पेशली पॉजिटिविटी को बधाई देना चाहती हूँ कि उन्होंने इस बारे में सोचा कि जो कंपनीज हैं, जो उनकी लीगल लायबिलिटीज हैं, CSR और ESG को लेकर मैं उस पर बात करूँगी, और जो सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं उनको एक तरह से जोड़ने का, एक समावेश करने का जो आइडिया है, इसके लिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई। मुझसे कहा गया था, जब मुझे बोला गया था that I have to speak here, मुझसे कहा गया था that आपको please set up the framework for this meeting, a kind of theme, sorry, not framework, I forget what Vishnu said, something like set the tone for this event. तो मैंने सोचा इसके बारे में, फिर मैंने सोचा that मैंने 35 साल रेगुलेशन में निकाले हैं, so I think ऐसी कॉन्फ्रेंस जो सोसाइटी और फ्रेमवर्क whether it's policy or legal के कस्प पे है और उसको एक तरह से एक्सप्लॉइट करना चाहती है, so I thought I'll just share a little bit about the legal framework for CSR and ESG that exists in India to set the tone for this meeting. And I also want to point out that right now when I was coming up, it's Silver Oak on the first floor, on the ground floor. There's another ESG conference going on. So you can just imagine the kind of contemporary importance of this issue. So let me just briefly set the tone by giving you a little bit about the legal framework of CSR and ESG in India and why it is so important. So now, India has a very robust corporate social responsibility policy and legal framework. Now, the Companies Act of 2013 mandates a company which has a net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or a turnover of rupees 1,000 crore or more, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more to spend at least 2% of their average net profit of the immediate preceding 3 financial years on CSR activities. So that is the mandate of the law. Foreign companies that operate in India and fulfill these conditions also are bound by the CSR mandate of the Act. Now, companies that have to comply with CSR regulation need to have a CSR committee. And the committee's function is to make an annual plan and recommend it. It also is responsible for monitoring the CSR implementation of the company, etc. There is also, interestingly, an illustrative list of CSR activities permissible under the Companies Act as part of the schedule of the Companies Act. A lot of amendments have also come in as recent as 2022. I'm not going into that. So now that brings me to the next, the related, which people think often, the ESG part of it. Now, what is ESG? ESG simply stands for, it's an acronym for economic, social, and governance. And let me tell you that ESG rules and regulations differ from CSR in process and impact. And so, how has ESG and why has ESG become important over this period of time? Over the last decade, regulators and corporations around the world have embraced the idea that businesses should be measured just not on traditional economic metrics, such as profit, return, shareholder return, etc., but also by their environmental impact, their commitment to social issues, and the soundness of their corporate governance. Okay, so that's where the thought or the idea of ESG has come about. Now, why has it become important? It has become important because the main driver for its importance of ESG is that environmental, social, and governance considerations are being increasingly included by investors in a company's risk profile in order to accurately assess their impact. So actually, currently in the world, there's a lot of ESG-driven capital. If your company is ESG compliant, is fulfilling its ESG obligations, you are likely to receive more investment. So that is why a lot of focus has come on ESG in the corporate world. Right? For just as an example, it might be repetitive for many of you, but I think it's important that what is an example of an ESG regulation? Look at the UK Modern Slavery Act. I'll come to the India situation in just 2 minutes. It requires companies with business in UK and annual sales of more than 36 million pounds to publish the efforts they have taken to identify and analyze the risks of human trafficking, child labor, etc., and establish internal accountability procedures, evaluate supplier compliance, and to train supply chain managers regarding these issues. So for one ESG regulation, kindly see how it affects the entire process of that company to be compliant with ESG. Now, while a lot of focus in India is on green energy, we are hearing a lot of green hydrogen, etc., etc. ESG compliance for Indian companies is becoming more and more important. In India, ESG laws are still rules are still at a nascent stage. We actually still have environmental laws, we have labor laws, we have the Green Tribunal, we have different laws which are governing these sectors. However, a step has been taken towards building an ESG regulation for the companies who are working, not separate kind of laws. And the first was that the SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, has made ESG disclosures mandatory for the top 1,000 listed companies under its business responsibility and sustainability reporting initiative. Also, companies which are mandated to spend on CSR need to disclose their ESG profiles to attract capital from global ESG investors and financiers. Compliance with ESG regulations, both originating in India and elsewhere around the world, poses a significant different challenge than India's CSR regulations. In particular, compliance by Indian companies with the ESG regulations of the US, the UK, the EU, and elsewhere will be critical for India if we want to become a part of the global supply chain. Now, I've given you the framework and tried to tell you what is the difference between the CSR mandate and the ESG regulations that are evolving in India. So where does something like Samaavesh come into all this? Now, you can see that the corporate world in India is undergoing a makeover. corporate India is having to become part of the change-making process as we move towards ESGs. So corporates are becoming accountable and more answerable in these things. So I would suggest that you all have done a good thing by bringing the idea of your tagline is connecting corporates to communities. But another area that you can think going forward is that right now the ESG regulation in India is only for the 1,000 big listed companies. But there is a lot of ESG capital available around the world. And what organizations or ideas like Samaavesh can also think about is how to help smaller companies and unlisted companies become ESG compliant so that they also are able to be part of the global economy and the global supply chain. So that's an idea I want to leave for all of you to think about also in this. And I think something like Samaavesh can move forward and contribute to this change in the corporate corporate role and responsibility structure that is evolving around the world, especially the E is currently very important in the ESG whole paradigm. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for your enlightening words, ma'am. The energy and inspiration in the words fits in with the energetic morning all of us are having here at Samaavesh ESG Global Summit. I would like to move to our first panel discussion. Before that, I would like to invite Dr. Daneshwar Mule sir for his address.
Namaste and good morning, everyone. We have with us here Nava from the UN Coordinator's Office, UN Resident Dr. Sadhana Shankar, Mr. Rishi Kumar, Positive Rishi Kumar, and Mr. Surendra Bakshi. Also having very distinguished people in the audience. I'd like to acknowledge everyone. Mr. Shetty has come all the way from Kolkata. I would like to welcome him also, my hometown. So a special welcome. So this is a very different topic for all of us, and yet I think going to be a very important one. I'd like to put it in the context of a slightly larger scheme of things, which is really my concern. Not exactly ESG, but as you are seeing here, a moment of positivity. You'll be wondering what is this moment all about. So let's go to the Constitution of India for a second. The Constitution very clearly says, and including its preamble, that we need to all work for social, economic, and political justice. Right? We also have assured ourselves that we will create a society based on justice, equality, and liberty. That's the fundamental framework of our country. Now, the same words you find here straight away, economic and social, that you find in Constitution. So, objective is very simple, that unless and until we ensure that social economic justice is delivered to the last man in the queue, we as a country cannot grow. Now, as you all know that I very deliberately chose the word Samaavesh because one is it's our native concept of inclusion. Often we borrow words from outside, then we try to build our own narratives, which sometimes do not really grow in an organic manner. We have to, put a lot of what should I say, ingredients to make it natural. But here we have a beautiful word, Samavesha, which really represents, in a sense, the value of inclusion that we have cherished for thousands of years. Whether it is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, where we really pray for everybody's happiness, or Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, let's speak in one voice, let's walk together, that kind of a spirit. But you cannot walk together You cannot speak together unless you bring everybody to a particular level in life. And that really brings us back to what we call social, economic, and political justice. In fact, movement of positivity strives to inculcate constitutional values, which also means that we have synergized our objectives with the constitution. Now, how do we really look at this whole ESG paradigm, and how do we implement it? Now, we have right now our country is at a very interesting juncture in its history, in its, you can say, geography, in its international politics. If you have read and if you are following the ongoing discourses in the country, and if I can understand them correctly, we have 2-3 aspirations as a nation. What are they? Politically, India really would like to be the member of the Security Council of the United Nations. This is a political aspiration. We don't say it always openly, but that's where we want to be. That's the highest level that is there. In terms of economy, we now moved in our thinking from 5 trillion to 40 trillion or 50 trillion, whatever it is in the coming years. We also advanced substantially our goals on the environmental, that is a climate change side. And to cover it all, to bundle it all, we have the aspiration of becoming Vishwaguru. Vishwaguru, what does it mean to be a Vishwaguru? By Vishwaguru, I mean that India should have the capacity, ability, and the desire to lead the world. But how do we lead the world? You can lead the world by creating a society, a nation that others would like to follow. In other words, a model nation. And a model nation cannot be built on the basis of inequalities. It cannot be built on the basis of poverty. It cannot be built on the basis of discriminations of various kinds. You can't leave behind certain segments, whether they belong to the scheduled tribe category, scheduled caste categories, our women, folk, our children, people who work on the fields, people who work on the brick kilns, the prisoners who are in the prison, transgenders, sex workers. We cannot leave anybody behind. And then only we can, really achieve what we think and describe as social economic well-being, social economic progress. And from there, of course, corporates are a very important actor and actor. We also have civil society organizations. India has about 30 lakh civil society organizations. Corporates have often the surplus funds, and civil society organizations have often the need to have these funds. So it's very important and that these civil society organizations are proactively helped. And also we develop capacity, because I have seen in my own experience that often those who deserve the most are never able to access it. Particularly I'm referring to CSR in this context. And often there are questionable methods that are used in the utilization of the CSR also. You can't be, plowing back everything into yourself. You can't have one tree grow at the cost of all other trees. You have to have an even, arrangement, even in the forest or the jungle, so that each species, whether animal, whether it is plant, is able to grow to its full potential. What applies to nature also applies to us human beings. So today, I'm delighted that actually this dream, particularly of young Nishkarsh, where is he? And Siddharth, let's give a hand, big hand to them. It's actually their initiative, and I said yes, let's do it. And obviously, Surinder and Kumar have put their support behind them, and all of you today, by coming here, I would like to say that you have contributed to an important cause, and that cause is of inclusion, that cause is of social and economic justice, that cause is of creating an egalitarian society, that cause is of making India Vishwaguru, if not today, maybe tomorrow, if not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, certainly. Thank you once again for joining, and I really thank everyone who has made efforts to make this event a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I will invite Ms. Sukhman Randhawa for Good morning, everybody. I'll try and give a little bit of the UN perspective on this. So, I come from that lens, and my people preceding me have given such a good overview. So I'll just bring in a little bit of the sustainability lens into the equation. So good morning, everyone, and respected dignitaries. And it's a pleasure to be a part of the Samaavesh Global ESG Summit. I'm actually representing the Office of the Coordinator in India. I'm going to talk a little bit about the SDGs. As the world is nearing the halfway mark of the 2030 agenda, which is the global agenda that the global date that was decided to reach the SDG goals, which are sustainable development goals. They are as relevant as ever. They are a North Star and compass for navigating global turbulence. And it's been said that nearly half of the SDGs live in India, and so if they're achieved in India, they'll be achieved globally. But equally, the reverse is also true. If we falter, the world also falters. And business is not only an indispensable partner in achieving the SDGs, it's very much the engine to get us there. Its resources, capacity for investment in new technologies, dwarf governance and development aid. What we need are bold investments and innovations from companies to translate the SDGs into solutions that will profit people, the planet, as well as the bottom line. Today, businesses are increasingly understanding that there is no profit without economic sustainability. Climate change poses one of the biggest risks to the survival of businesses. Sustainability is a way of managing these risks, systemic and emergent. The depletion of resources, changing agricultural patterns, disaster, all of this, businesses that adapt better just do better. Further, we are also very much aware that customers today are increasingly more conscious of their footprint and expectations. They want products and services that can stand to a higher ethic and at the very least do no harm. The IFC has found that the companies with good environmental and social performance, something which we spoke about, outperform others on both equity and returns on investment. So it's actually really good business sense to incorporate these values. Sustainable business will also have dividends for national economic growth. Sustainable development models will open up new markets worth US $12 trillion and create 380 million new jobs worldwide by 2030. Returns on investments that can be generated by the full implementation of the SDGs could be approximately US $30 billion per year. And very interestingly, the economic impact of achieving gender equality just in India is estimated to be US $7 billion of added GDP value by 2025. These are huge numbers if we were to address these concerns. And sustainability is not just about the CSR and 2% mandate, which is also something we touched upon. It is about redefining the shareholder itself. There is a direct stake in the profitability in the social and environmental impact of businesses on communities, on ecosystems, on cities, towns, and millions of people whose lives are touched through global value chains. And therefore, corporate value cannot be measured only in the arithmetic of supply and demand. It must include environmental value and social value, and the strategic integration of the SDGs into the very core of the new models. Extensive research by Deutsche Bank, Harvard confirms that sustainability and strong environmental and social governance practices are linked to lower operating costs, more profitable businesses, and higher share prices. We see that sustainability as a core value of businesses, when it is integrated very much into the core of how businesses operate, will bring billions of people out of poverty, empower women, combat disease, malnutrition, and unemployment, and secure the dignity of future generations, which is very much our concern today. I'll now touch upon a little bit on how the UN is working with the private sector on some of these areas. And we work across a variety of areas in all regions of India and with enterprises of all sizes. Business is a critical partner in a new UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which is a 5-year development compact that we enter into with the government of India. So this would run from 2023 to 2027. To just give you a few examples, UNDP, which is an agency under the UN Aegis, and Renew Power, which is a company, as well as SEWA, are working in Gujarat to train salt farm workers as solar technicians. In Bangalore, UNDP is working together with SAP Labs, again a company, to empower women and young people with critical digital skills, aiming to reach 20,000 youth and 50,000 women. Very interestingly, UNDP has also been focusing on mobilizing financing. We know there's a huge financing gap to meet the SDG goals. So they are working on bridging this financing gap by launching an SDG finance facility to act as a bridge between private and government partners to help design and develop innovative financial models or blended finance models, for example, social impact bonds. The UN Resident Coordinator's Office, where I'm from, as well as this agency called UNEP, which is the environmental agency, are working with Reliance and Indian fashion industry to promote sustainable fashion through the Lapis Fashion Week and Circular Design Award, which is encouraging circularity in the fashion industry, which is also an industry which has very high emission rates. Several agencies also work with tea producers to improve the lives of plantation workers. 85% of tea states engaged by UNICEF, which is another sister agency of the UN, under the Ethical Tea Partnership, including Tata, Tesco, Starbucks Foundation, now have family-friendly policies. The UN Women Partnership with Unilever addresses gender-based violence, which is prevalent at all levels of the tea value chain, as well as sexual harassment policies in line with national laws being adopted across dozens of plantations in Assam. The government has aimed to align the national voluntary guidelines on social, environment, and economic responsibility for business with the UN guiding principles on business and human rights to the national guidelines on responsible business conduct, as well as the business responsibility reporting framework for the top 1,000 listed companies on SEBI, which was referred to by Ms. Padma. We see these are steps in the right direction, but the need of the hour are more targeted collaboration platforms that bring the collective expertise of the private sector in alignment with the SDG agenda and improve integration of SDG parameters into core business operations. So again, platforms like yours are very critical to address these needs. Also, again, something which Ms. Sadhana also touched upon, majority of Indian businesses are MSMEs, as we all know. Around 70% employ less than 10 people. Yet these businesses contribute to 40% of the GDP. Supporting and guiding the MSME ecosystem in India, many of them unregistered, towards sustainability will be an enormous challenge, but like a very worthwhile one. I also want to touch upon a little bit for people who do not know on India's G20 presidency, a little bit of what the priorities are that which we are working collectively with the government. India's G20 presidency, the government has placed SDG acceleration as a top priority because we are actually at the midpoint of the SDG achievement. 2030 is the agenda, and this makes it exactly the midpoint as we are held this presidency. And they are working on closing the SDG financing gap as well. As the Secretary General Guterres highlighted in Mumbai last year, the UN Secretary General, we have 4 leading developing countries at the helm of G20 in a row. There is Indonesia, there's India, there's Brazil, and South Africa. It's the first time countries from the global south are going to be chairing G20, which is an historic moment in itself. But it's also a unique opportunity to bring the voices and concerns of the developing world and its businesses to the top table of the global economy. The UN is partnering with India's G20 Secretariat to help identify crucial areas where this presidency can help accelerate progress on the SDGs, and business again is an indispensable partner in all of them. Some of these areas are, one of them is digital transformation, with innovative firms in digital technologies already making the region a leader in mobile payments, fintech, and digital public goods can help accelerate improvements in governance, expand financial inclusion, and transform service delivery. Another agenda that is very critical is the just green transition agenda, which we're supporting, ensuring that the region's green transition is not just a green transition, but a just and fair transition too. We commend businesses for already deploying capital at scale for the green transition. Still, the financing needs are vast. More private sector funding must be unlocked and partnerships created, especially in sure you've all heard of the LIFE initiative, which the Secretary General helped launch last year at the Guardian Draft. And perhaps the SDG accelerator, which, I mean, this is especially close to my heart, that brings the highest rates of return is women-led development with exponential gains. Gender equality is key to unlocking the achievement of all of the SDGs. Investments in gender equality will be able to deliver incredible dividends to the economy, society, women, girls, men, and boys. I'd like to stop here because I think I've packed in a lot of information in this sort of short time. But once again, it's a great pleasure to be here at the Samaavesh Global ESG Summit, and I want to congratulate the organizers for putting this together. And it's interesting to understand the critical issues and gaps in the ESG ecosystem and how we can work collectively to address them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sukhna. Now I would like to invite Mr. Anshul Alak for vote of thanks.
Very good morning, everyone. I would like to thank everyone for being able to showcase their presence and become a part of Samaavesh Global ESG Summit 2023. We hope the next 2 days add value and insight to your lives and ideas discussed and leave an everlasting impact on the way we all view ESG as a concept. We are highly honored and full of gratitude to have you all there. Thank you everyone for joining in, and we hope that you have an enriching experience in the upcoming session for the next 2 days. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
I request everyone to join for the networking tea, and within 15 minutes we'll start with our first panel discussion.
I request you all to please join on the key session, please.